Hey there, we're going to talk about casting on stitches at the start of the row. This creates a nice shaped neckline, and it's an alternative to doing neckline shaping with short rows. So in order to do that, we're going to insert the tip of the right needle into the first stitch. We're going to knit through it, but instead of sliding it off, we're going to draw out that loop, slide it back around onto the left needle, and pull tight. One of the keys to doing this process in a really tidy way is to keep those stitches tight. I like to work close to the tips to make sure that every one of these new stitches I'm casting on is thoughtful and tidy and nice and firm against the needle. So I'm going to cast on just a couple more stitches, always pulling nice and tight. One more, pull that nice and tight, and then really snug it up. So now I have the new stitches on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit across these new stitches, again working closely to the tips and then pulling tightly. Every time you insert your right needle into the next stitch, pull tightly on the stitch you worked before that to really snug it up. And you're just going to do this the very first time you work these first new cast on stitches because we just want to give them a really good foundation. This is going to make the finishing and the picking up process later so much easier for you. You are going to be surprised how much more you enjoy finishing when you give yourself a really nice foundation to start with. Now, there's one other trick I want to show you. See this loose stitch right here? This is the stitch we started with when we cast on the very first stitch, and it's a little bit looser, and I don't know if you can really tell how much looser it is than the other stitches, but what I like to do with this stitch is just knit this one stitch through the back loop. And you only do it this time around and then just work the rest of your stitches like normal, but that will close up that gap so that you won't have to look at it or deal with it later. And so we've got some new stitches cast on. They're pretty tidy. And then we'll go to the other side and do this on the wrong side. But just keep in mind, the tidier you do this and the more consistent you do it, the better the finishing process will be later, and just the cleaner and nicer that neckline is going to be. You're going to love it. Just give it a little practice and you're going to find out that this really makes a huge difference.